Hi everyone, this is Dr. Daniel Sugai, board certified dermatologist here in the Seattle area. Thank you so much for 100,000 subscribers, 100,000 friends. I appreciate every single one of you. You guys are so amazing. So I'm here in my office just feeling super touched, blessed, you name it. My awesome receptionist Charlene bought me some balloons to celebrate, and I got some friends who brought in the 100 grand candy bars for me today. So it's just a really awesome way to celebrate the 100K. And so I wanted to do a nice video on a topic that I've been really interested in. I love talking about retinols in general, especially on this channel where we want to talk about affordable skincare. I know you guys have waited for me to talk about the Olay Regenerist Retinol 24, the OG regular one, versus the Olay Regenerist Retinol 24 Max. So let's get into it.
All right, before we jump into comparing the two, let's talk about retinols in general. And also I wanted to answer some questions that you had brought up in the previous video on just Olay Regenerist Retinol 24. So when we did that video involving just the OG Retinol 24, people were asking, hey, can I layer this with my prescription tretinoin or adapalene? No, don't layer a retinol with another retinoid, whether it's adapalene, which is a synthetic, newer generation retinoid, trifarotene, which is the newest retinoid, or the OG tretinoin. We don't want to layer these, mix them all at once, because that will really increase your risk of irritation. I would say you can have two products, two different retinoids, but use them on different nights. Alternate them. One night use, say, your Olay Regenerist Retinol 24, and then the other night use your tretinoin. Especially in the winter time when the Seattle weather is very cold and drying and my skin's much more sensitive, I will alternate between an over-the-counter retinol and a prescription retinoid. And I actually do this. People say, oh, you're lying, you don't use over-the-counter retinols, you have all the prescription retinoids at your disposal. Not true. I definitely don't want to irritate my skin and overdo it and cause all that dryness and irritation. I won't be able to even apply my sunscreen. So I will alternate between something like this that's hydrating, gentle, and my prescription tretinoin, say. Another question I get is, can I use a retinol during the summertime? I know the summer is coming up. I'm super excited for warmer weather. Yes, you can use your retinoid during the summertime. You don't have to take breaks. People worry that they're going to get really bad sunburns. Yes, you're going to be bringing in new baby skin with your retinoid, especially when you use it for a continued amount of time. About 6 months in, you're going to start noticing fine lines and wrinkles being reduced. And so when you bring in that new skin, you want to protect that at all costs. So during the day, wear your sunscreen, reapply every 1 to 2 hours, and at bedtime, use your retinoid. Retinoids are usually meant for bedtime. There are encapsulated photostable retinoids, retinols over the counter, for example. Those you can use during the day, but for me, I like to keep things simple. Vitamin C, serums, and sunscreen in the morning. Use your retinoid at bedtime, just a small amount, pea-sized amount for your entire face. People have asked, can I use it on my neck? Yes, you definitely can use it on your neck, but be very careful. Much more sensitive skin here. And also maybe moisturize before applying it on your neck, and just start off with a half pea-sized amount if you're using a cream or gel. Retinoids come in different forms. So there's over-the-counter forms of retinoids like retinol, and retinaldehyde. That's the order of potency. Retinol's right in the middle, well-studied ingredient. That's a vitamin A derived compound that will bind to the nuclear receptors in your skin and do all this magic, increase cell turnover. And by doing that, it will lighten your dark spots and brighten your skin, help clean out your pores and keep the pore lining smooth so that the pores don't get clogged and the lining of the pores don't shed into the pore, clogging them up, causing blackheads and whiteheads. Also helps tell your dermis to make more collagen. That's the second layer of skin. Epidermis, dermis is deeper down and it's full of this protein called collagen that helps keep our skin taut, firm, helps. If you have less collagen, you have more shriveled, saggy skin, which we don't want, obviously. I never want to promote perfect skin, but we all want to reduce or slow down the aging process. So I love retinoids. You guys know I'm a big fan of it. So that's a quick overview of it. If you are pregnant, I'm sorry, moms make the biggest sacrifice ever. You have to hold off on using a retinoid while you're pregnant. One more question people have asked, can I use a retinoid around my eyes? A lot of ophthalmologists and optometrists are saying do not use any type of retinoid around your eyes. I reviewed the data. I don't see any reports of chronic dry eye from using a retinoid around the eye, but anecdotally in my practice, I have a few patients who are new to me, came from another practice and said, I used a prescription strength retinoid like tretinoin around my eyelids, like on the eyelids within the orbital bone, and now I have chronic dry eye. With that in mind, I'm gonna say be very careful with retinoids around the eye as much as possible. Maybe stay outside of the orbital bone, but if you do wanna use a retinoid around the eyes, I would stay with a low potency over-the-counter retinol. If you wanna try it out, out, and maybe not do it every night. Maybe you want to do it just a few times a week if you want to strengthen the thin skin around the eyes. But be very careful because oral retinoids, yes, it is shown to cause chronic dry eye in some cases. And so be very careful with prescription, stronger strength retinoids around the eyes long term. All right, so I'm glad we got into that. Let's jump into Olay. Let's talk about the original Olay Regenerist Retinol 24. And I've talked about this in a lot of TikToks. This is a brand new jar. I bought multiple of these. Use a half pea size amount to the half of my face here, and the other half I'll use the Max. So let's try this out. A little old friend. So I got a clean finger. I've cleansed my face. People have said, I don't want to use this because it's in a jar and it's going to decrease the potency. Yes, technically over time it could maybe alter the potency the more you open up the jar and expose it to oxygen. But I have no problems. I still enjoy using this. It's still great at keeping my skin smooth, keeping my anti-aging game going during the winter time. This just blends in so well, just melts away so quickly. So what I do is I put a little dots on my face and then I connect the dots. It has no fragrance, no dyes. It has a great ingredient, vitamin B3 or niacinamide in it. And that's part of the Retinol 24 hydrating complex that is in the regular OG one. It has retinol, and vitamin B3. And vitamin B3 works so well with retinol because it helps in brightening your skin, is anti-inflammatory. A lot of times I recommend retinoids for people with acne-prone skin. And so for people with acne-prone skin, they do well with niacinamide because it will help reduce the sebum production. Overall, great retinol for beginners. I do recommend people to start off with something like this because it's gentle. If you are sensitive to fragrance, dyes, this doesn't have any of that. And also has a nice goodie, the topical peptides in it. So this peptide complex is called palmitoyl pentapeptide 4, which has data behind it. I was able to review the data with Olay, and I have been happy to see studies out there supporting topical peptides. I want to see more studies around topical peptides, but it looks more promising than topical collagen. Topical peptides are the shorter chains making up the collagen, and so these smaller chains can do different things like self-signaling and tell your skin to make more collagen, which is great. And so to have that paired with your retinol, amazing. If you want to do a topical peptide moisturizer like the Inky List or Naturium, on top of this, totally fine, but not necessarily to have a moisturizer with this because it's already moisturizing as well. It is hydrating, it has glycerin. No hyaluronic acid though, like Neutrogena's Rapid Wrinkle Repair Regenerating Cream, that has hyaluronic acid. This one's just glycerin, which is fine. This is a great humectant to draw in water and retain water in your cells. And this is a 1.7 fluid ounce jar for about $30 to $36. Costco has the best deal on this, and I have not seen the Max on sale at Costco, but this will go on sale or just be on the shelves on any regular day, and you get a 2-for-1 price with the sale. So let's talk about if the Max is worth it. The Max looks so similar. The Max also being a 1.7 fluid ounce jar for about $32 to $36. Not at Costco, like I mentioned. Very similar consistency at first glance. Might even have a little bit more of a yellow tinge to it, which you might be able to pick up on the camera. That yellow tinge is promising because this supposedly has 20% more retinol 24 complex, their hydrating complex. What does that mean? 20% more of what? Well, the original does not disclose how much retinol it has. A lot of over-the-counter retinols don't disclose, and I always say go for 0.25% retinol and up. That's where you'll get the results. All the results and magic we've talked about before. It can go up to, like we talked about before, the Cause de Baja retinol serum is 2.5% retinol. Most of the time, we can find it up to 1% in the United States. Cause de Baja is a nice K-beauty brand, but in the United States, we can find Sephora, like say Paula's Choice, 1% retinol, SkinCeuticals, 1%. But a lot of times, these over-the-counter retinols like say CeraVe's Resurfacing retinol serum or their skin renewing retinol serum, they don't disclose the retinol percentage. So when they say 20%, we don't know per 20% more of what. So is it more retinol? I'm assuming yes. And so maybe that's why we're seeing a little bit more yellow tinge, because in this native state, you see a yellow tinge to retinol and it's like powder form. You will see it have a yellow color to it. The consistency right off the bat looks the same, nice whipped up frosting like texture to it when you open it up. People are like, stop opening it up, you're gonna let all the oxygen in. The other thing is people are like, oh, I don't like the jar because it's dirty, putting your finger in there. That's fine, wash your hands or get a spatula or spoon to get the cream out. The other thing of the hydrating complex would be the niacinamide. So we have more niacinamide in this. Can we celebrate that? Sure, it's great to have more of a nice ingredient, but is there such thing as too much? Yes, so let's talk about niacinamide. Niacinamide, it says anti-inflammatory. It's great for reducing sebum production, brightening your skin, but I've seen people people in early 2020 come into my clinic just with beet red faces that were swollen. And I'd ask them, were you using the Ordinary's niacinamide serum? And they'd be like, yes, I saw it on TikTok. It's doing well on YouTube and people are raving about this brand. And so everyone was picking up niacinamide off the shelves. They were getting themselves a really bad irritant or allergic contact dermatitis. And so too much of a good thing is what we see in anything in life. Too much water. You drink too much water, you can die. And so putting more niacinamide in it, I can see maybe it could irritate people if you use the Max. Too much retinol, yes, can cause irritation. So if you're truly a beginner, you might want to consider the regular OG Retinol 24 first. And if you want to try and spice up the game, you can consider the Max after that, which is 20% more of all of those nice ingredients. Now, how does it feel though? Let's talk about that. So I'm going to get a half pea size amount, apply onto my face. Don't forget your nose because you want to clean out the blackheads on your nose. I always say for any retinoid, when it comes to acne, it can take about 2 to 3 months for it to kick in, help with those blackheads and whiteheads. And for anti-aging, the studies show 6 months. So you really have to go with the marathon approach and not the sprint. You have to be consistent and patient. So that also melts in very well. In terms of how it feels, I did a blind testing with my wife and we both agreed that we like the texture of the regular Olay over the Max. The Max is a little bit thicker. You can actually feel it still on your face. Whereas before when I applied the OG to my face, this side of the face, it just blended in, it absorbed very quickly. I go to bed feeling nice and silky smooth, lying on my pillow. I don't feel like anything's on my face. The next morning, my skin's nice and soft. This though, I feel like there is still a little film. And so I've said from the beginning, I've made a TikTok on this. I still feel like it doesn't blend in as well. But if you're an advanced user and you don't mind having a little bit of that film on your face, try out the Max, see how it goes. I still think it's a great retinol for people who aren't ready for a prescription retinoid like tretinoin, which is retinoic acid. Retinol has to be converted twice before becoming the active form retinoic acid. From retinol to retinaldehyde, then retinoic acid. So retinaldehyde is more potent than retinol. And so you can find that as Maelove's Moonlight Super Retinol Serum. That one's a great one to use if you want to bump up your game from a retinol. But if you're not ready for that even, try out the Max and let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are on the Max. For me, I feel like the tried and true would be the Olay Retinol 24. I know there are comments of people saying it pills, and I totally can, I'm not saying you're lying, I totally believe it will pill. You have really dry skin, it might be rolling off with the dry skin that's desquamating lightly off the skin. If you have that problem, you might even notice more pilling with the Max. I'm just saying, maybe. In terms of efficacy, I don't have any head-to-head data, but in terms of that sensorial experience, I still say the OG feels better than the Max. Okay, so I hope this video is helpful. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you again for the 100K subscribers. I can't thank you guys enough. I'm gonna keep doing these videos and keep doing these reviews and comparisons. Please drop a comment if you've tried the Max. I'd love to hear what you think. And I'm going to Boston this upcoming week and I'll be doing some skincare collaborations with some dermatologists and just to see my Harvard alma mater, previous mentors, my co-residents that I just adore, and I'm so excited to see them in my old stomping grounds of Boston. So I'll be trying to document that, maybe do a vlog of some sort while I'm there. All right guys, take care and peace.